Hi, I'm Chad with Move Forward Guitar. In this lesson, I'm going to explain what triads are and give you a little bit of theory to help you understand them better. First off, if you'd like to get the charts for this lesson and more in-depth explanation about this topic, you can click the link on the screen and download our Music Theory for Guitar eGuide. And that's a free eGuide. You can just download that for free. And like I said, it has all the information that's in this lesson plus much more, so it'll be really valuable to you. And since it's free, no reason not to go download that. And I'm working on it right now as I'm filming this lesson, so it might not be out as you're watching this lesson. If it's not out, it'll say coming soon. So just watch out for when it does become available. But don't worry if it's not out. You can still follow along in this lesson because all the charts are going to be on the screen. So like I said, I'm going to talk about triads in this lesson, and it'll be really useful to you if you have a basic understanding of the major scale and intervals. It'll make it a lot easier to follow along in this lesson. You can still follow along if you don't. I'll do my best to explain, but I'm not going to go into depth about the major scale or anything, and that's where music theory really starts, is with the major scale and understanding intervals. So definitely be useful to you to have a basic understanding about the major scale and intervals. But like I said, I'll try my best to explain as much as possible as I go through. So triads are your most basic type of chord, and they contain a root, a third, and a fifth interval of some sort. And those three intervals will tell you whether the chord is major, minor, diminished, or augmented. And a major, minor, diminished, or augmented are your most basic and most important chords to understand. So a major chord is built 1, 3, 5, or root, major third, perfect fifth. A minor triad is built 1, flat 3, 5, or a root, a minor third, perfect fifth. A diminished triad is built 1, flat 3, flat 5, or root, minor third, diminished fifth. And an augmented chord is built 1, 3, sharp 5, or root, major third, augmented fifth. And if I was just to take a basic chord that you would know, a basic open chord, for example like a C major, this is a triad chord except some of those notes are doubled up. So all I have is a C, which is my root, an E, which is my third, major third, a G, which is my perfect fifth, and then I have another C and another E. So it's just those three notes which make this a triad. It's just you have more than three notes that are ringing out because you have some of those notes doubled up. And then the same thing, if I just took a A minor chord, it'd be the same thing. So this A minor chord that you should know is just the A, which is the root, E, which is the perfect fifth, another A, C, which is the minor third, and then another E. So again, that's just a triad chord with some of those notes doubled up. So in this lesson, we're not going to focus on bigger chords like that have notes doubled up. We're just going to focus on actually playing three notes. So just three notes, no doubled up notes. So if we were to start with a major triad, so if I just start on A, I'm just going to start on A because it falls in a place on the neck where I can reach the notes as I'm going back. If I start in G, I'd have some open strings, and I want to be able to fret all the notes. So if I start with A, and if I play just a little A major scale, so A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A, that's A major scale right there. Like I said, it'd be helpful if you know your A major scales to make this lesson easier, but that's how you play a major scale. So the intervals in a major scale are root, major second, major third, perfect fourth, perfect fifth, major sixth, major seventh, root. Or just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. So that makes a major scale. So to build a major triad, like I said, is a root, major third, perfect fifth. So root right here, if I want to build an A major triad, I have a root, I go up to the major third, so 1, 2, 3, that's my third right there. That's, now I need a perfect fifth, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have a root, major third, perfect fifth. That makes an A major triad. I can play that as an arpeggio, one note at a time. And I could keep doing that. I could keep going up with those same notes. And just play root, third, fifth over and over again. That would be an arpeggio that I could play up and down the whole fretboard if I wanted to. But we're just starting with the lowest three notes, so root, third, fifth, and root, major, third, perfect fifth for a major triad. Right now I can't play that as a chord if I leave the fifth and the third on the same string. So if I take this fifth and move it down to its unison note, which is the exact same note right here, this and this are the same note, now I can play it as an actual triad, a harmonic triad, playing all the notes at the same time, just like a chord. So now I have root, major third, perfect fifth. That's my major triad. So that's an A major triad. So we're going to start right here for the basics of all these other triads. So major triad there, if I wanted to make it minor triad, I already told you that a minor triad is a 1 flat 3 5. That means I just lower the third by half a step, and that gives me a minor triad. So I have root, minor third, perfect fifth. So the only difference between a major triad and a minor triad is that you lower the third by half a step for the minor triad. So that's minor. So major, minor. Now if I wanted to get a diminished triad, I lower my fifth by half a step, because I told you that a diminished triad is built 1 flat 3 flat 5, or 1 minor third diminished fifth. So I just lower this note half a step. Now I have a diminished triad. So root, minor third, diminished fifth, or 1 flat 3 flat 5. So now we can go from major, lower the third by half a step, get minor, lower the fifth half a step, get diminished. And then one more that I told you about was augmented, and I told you augmented was 1, 3, sharp 5. So the only difference between a major triad and an augmented triad is that you raise the fifth by half a step. So I have 1, 3, 5 for a major triad. Just raise that 5 half a step. Now I have augmented. So root, major third, augmented fifth. So I could just do the exact same thing with any string, starting with the root note on any string. If I just stayed in A, I could do it on the fifth string, the fourth string, and the shape will change as I go through. So on the next string, if I did the exact same thing on the fifth string, the shape would stay the same. But then when I get down to the fourth string, and if I have my root on the fourth string, the shapes are going to change because of the way the guitar is tuned. And then again, when I'm on the third string, the shape's going to change because of the way guitar is tuned. But I'll have other lessons that'll show you all the shapes. I don't want to go over that right now in this lesson because it'll make it too long. I just want to give you the theory behind it, and then you can move on to those other lessons and actually see how to play all these triads. But I just wanted to give you the basics that to build a major triad, you take a root, a third, a fifth, or root, major third, perfect fifth. That's your major triad. If you want to make it minor, you lower the third by half a step, which makes it a root, minor third, perfect fifth, or a 1 flat 3 5. If you want to make it diminished, you lower the fifth by half a step, so that's a root, flat 3, flat 5, or a root, minor third, diminished fifth. And then if you want to make it augmented, start back at major, so major is 1 3 5. You raise the fifth by half a step, that would give you 1 3 sharp 5, or root, major third, augmented fifth. And those are your most basic triads, those are your most important ones, and that is the start of harmony in music and what you can do with building chords, understanding how chords work and everything. So you can take this knowledge and start building off it. This is your foundation. The major scale is really your foundation and intervals, and then this is the foundation for building chords, and this is going to take you as far as you need to go or want to go in music, because this is the basis for understanding how chords work, how harmony works, and all of that. And one more thing that I want to point out, I did these starting with the root note as my lowest note, and then I just went to the 3, then the 5. But you can start with any of those notes as your lowest note and just change the order up. So that's when you get into inversions. So your root position, as it's called, is what I just showed you, which would be the root, the third, and the fifth, no matter what type of chord you're playing. And then your first inversion, you would then put your third on the bottom, then it'd be your fifth, and then your root. So it would go 3, 5, root. That would be the order of the notes you play. and then your second inversion, you would do it one more time. Your fifth would be on the lowest note, then your third, then your root, and that would be second inversion. But I'll get into inversions more in other lessons. I don't want to talk too much about that now, but that's when the order of the notes start changing. When a note other than the root is on the lowest note, then you're playing an inversion. And technically, when you play a chord that is a triad chord, those notes don't have to be in that order. This is just the most basic way to understand them and how they work out when you're playing one note at a time. But like when I showed you the A minor chord, those notes weren't in that order. As you'll remember, as we went through, the order was root, fifth, root again, the flat three, and then the fifth again. So it doesn't matter what order these notes are in, they're still going to be the same chord. But when you're talking about triads in the most basic sense and how to build them in your inversions, you start like I talked about with your root as the lowest note, that's root position, and then third, then fifth, then first inversion goes your third, your fifth, and then your root, and then second inversion goes your fifth, your root, and then your third. But don't worry if you don't understand that. I'll have other lessons that dive into inversions and more theory. This is just a lesson that I want to give as a basic primer to understanding triads, so you can move on to my other lessons where I actually show you how to play them. And it's most important to be able to just play them, get them under your fingers, and start using them, more than it's important to understand the theory behind them and getting really deep into the theory. But I wanted to give you just a basic primer, like I said, so that you're not confused when you jump into those lessons. And you'll be ready to jump in, start practicing them and getting them down and start using them right away. So just go ahead and move on to those lessons where I'm going to show you how to actually play them. And be sure to download that eGuide that I mentioned, the Music Theory eGuide for guitar. It'll be really useful to you. And be sure to subscribe because we add at least one new lesson every day.